Hi everyone. We're going to learn how to solve equations with variables on both sides. This is lesson 3.2 from your workbook. If you look at my first problem, do you see that I have variables on both sides? I have 13x here and 5x here. Our goal is to get all of the x's on one side. So we're going to get all of those terms with x's on one side because we want to isolate for x. We want to solve for x. So we're going to use inverse operations to help us do that. Okay? And the best way to learn this is by doing. So let's start doing this. Okay, so I want to get my x term, okay, my x terms all on one side. So I'm going to subtract out 5x from both sides. Okay, this will give me 13x minus 5x. This is going to give me 8x on this side minus 2 equals, and this term is gone. Okay, I've zeroed those two terms out. And now look, after I've done that one first step, doesn't this problem looks like all the problems we've done before? That's it. Basically, there's just one additional step, and that is the first step. And the first step is to get your variables all on one side simply by adding or subtracting, okay, that term from both sides. So now let's go ahead and solve this. Let's add 2, just like we've always done. Add 2 to both sides. And this is gone. So now we have 8x equals 12. Divide both sides by 8. Okay, how many times does 8 go into 12? 1 time, because 1 times 8 is 8. When we take 8 from the top, you're still left with 4. 4 over 8. So the answer is x equals 1 and 1/2 when you reduce that. That's it. Okay, let's try the next one. So our goal is to get all of our x's on one side. So let me subtract out 2x from here, subtract out 2x from here. This is gone now. So now I have negative 4x and negative 2x. You're combining them. You end up with, let me use black. You end up with negative 6x plus 6 equals negative 18 on this side. Okay? So you see, now this problem looks like all the other equations we learned how to solve. So let's subtract 6x from both sides. So we'll have negative 6x equals negative 24. Divide both sides by negative 6, and x equals 4. Now, how do I know if I've done this correctly? I want to check my answer, especially if I'm taking a quiz or a test. I'm going to go ahead and put it down here and I'll erase it later. We're just checking number 2. Check number 2 and see if we found the right answer, if 4 is really the right answer. So let's plug 4. Let's plug in 4 for wherever we see x. So this is what I'm saying. Negative 4. Replace x with 4, because that's what we said it is. Replace it with 4. Plus 6, copy the rest of the problem. 2 times, replace x with 4, since we say this is the answer, minus 18. Okay, let's see if this is true, if this equation is true. So we have negative 16 plus 6 equals 8 minus 18. So this gives us negative 10 equals negative 10. Well, negative 10 does equal negative 10. That is a true equation. So that means our answer is correct. So that is how you check. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase that so I can work out. I'll come back and erase it later. Let's do number 3. Okay, so let's get all of our x's on one side. So let's add 10x to both sides. So this is going to give me 2x plus 10x is 12x plus 3. This is canceled, equals 15. Okay, you see, it looks like all the equations we solved before after we handled that one first step. Subtract 3 from both sides, and 12x equals 12. Divide both sides by 12, and x equals 1. But let's check. Is x really 1? Did we do this correctly? Let's check. Okay, so 2, replace x with 1 in the original. 2 times 1 plus 3. Oops, let me use the same color black. Plus 3 equals negative 10x from the top. I'm looking at the original right here. Negative 10x. So that's going to be negative 10 times, and we claim that x is 1. Let's replace x with 1. Plus 15. Okay, so I'm basically checking my answer by replacing x with 1 in the original equation. Okay, the original equation here. So let's see, does that check? 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3, and negative 10 times 1 is negative 10 plus 15. Well, that's 5. That's also 5, so it does check. Okay, so I've solved this correctly. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and erase this because this doesn't belong here. So I can solve number 4. Okay, so let's get all of our x's on one side. So let's subtract out 3x from both sides so we can get all of our x's on one side. So now this is gone. So I have negative 10x, because you're combining these together. Negative 7x plus negative 3x is negative 10x minus 5 equals 15. Add 5 to both sides. And you'll have negative 10x equals 25. I'm sorry, this is 20. Okay, divide both sides by negative 10, and x equals negative 2. So let's check if that's really the answer. Is it negative 2? We're going to check. So let's go back to the original problem. Let's go back to this problem right here and replace x with negative 2 everywhere it appears. So we have negative 7 times x, which we're going to replace with negative 2, minus 5. Let me go back and use black. Minus 5 equals 3 times, okay, we claim x is negative 2, so replace x with negative 2 plus 15. Wrong color. So you see what I did? I replaced x with negative 2 here. I replaced x with negative 2 here for this and this to see if I get a true equation. Now let's just do the math. Okay, -7 times -2, that's SSB, same sign, positive. So this is going to be 14 minus 5 equals 3 times -2, that's DSN, so that's -6 plus 15. So 14 minus 5, that's 9. And -6 plus 5, that's 9. So then our solution, x equals -2, is correct because we just checked it and we got a true equation. Okay? All right, let's go to the next set of problems. Now we have fractions. Okay, and we have variables on both sides. So what we're going to do first is what we learned how to do in the previous lesson. We learned how to get rid of the fractions by using the least common multiple. So we're going to do the same thing here. If you have 3 and 2, what is the least common multiple? Remember, this is how you think about it. What number, okay, will 3 and 2 both divide evenly? And not just any number, the smallest number. They both can divide evenly. If you said 6, that is correct. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So both of these numbers divide the number 6. If you said 12, well, 12 is not the least common multiple. It works, but it's not the least common multiple. We always want the least common multiple. So let's multiply through by 6. Multiply this numerator by 6, this number here by 6, this number here by 6, and this number here by 6. Every term. You have to be consistent, or there will be an imbalance. You're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6. Divide that by 3, that's 2x. 6 times 4 is 24, so it's going to be minus 24. 6 times 1 is 6. Divide that by 2, that's 3x. And 6 times 6 is minus 36. Okay, so it looks like the previous problems once we got rid of the fractions. So now let's get all of our x's on one side. Let's subtract 3x from both sides. This will be gone from here. And now we have 2x minus 3x. So you're combining 2x plus negative 3x. It's going to give you negative 1x. Minus 24 equals negative 36. Okay, so now it looks like all of the problems that we've solved before. So let's add 24 to both sides so we can solve for x. So I have negative 1x equals negative 12. Okay, we're not done because we have negative 1x. We want x, just x. So we'll have to divide both sides by negative 1. And x equals, now look, you have a negative divided by negative. That's SSB, same sign, positive. So the answer is going to be 12. Okay? And you can go back and check this. Now that I've taught you how to check this, I'm not going to check every single one. Okay? But you should do that when you're doing your homework. All right, so let's try the next one. What do you think the first step is? If you say get rid of the fractions, that is correct. We're going to need the least common multiple. What is the least common multiple? If you said 15, that is correct. So we'll multiply this by 15. Multiply this number by 15 every term. This fraction here by 15, and this number here by 15. Every term must be multiplied by 15. Okay, 15 times 1 is 15. Divided by 5, that is 3x. 3 times 15, that's minus 45. 15 times 1 is 15. Divide that by 3, that's 5x. And 6 times 15, that is 90. Okay, we're getting there step by step. Now, let's get all of the x's on one side. So let's subtract out 5x from both sides. So now we have negative 2x minus 45 equals 90. We'll add 45 to both sides. And we'll have negative 2x equals 135. Divide both sides by negative 2. Okay, this is going to be DSN because one number is positive and one number is negative. That means the answer is going to be negative. So it's going to be negative 67 and a half. Okay? Let's go to the next problem. Okay, more problems with fractions. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's find the least common multiple so we can get rid of the fraction. So what do you think the least common multiple is? If you said 8, that is correct because 8 divides 8 and 2 divides 8. So let's multiply this by 8, this number by 8, this fraction by 8, and this number by 8 every term. And let's simplify. So 8 times 1 is 8 divided by 8. That's going to be 1x or just 1 or just x. Plus 4 times 8 is 32. 8 times 3 is 24. Divide that by 2. That's 12x. And 2 times 8 is minus 16. Okay, let's get all of our x's on the same side. So let's subtract 12x from both sides. So this will be gone. 1x, you could put a 1 over here. 1x minus 12x is negative 11x or minus 11x plus 32 equals negative 16. Okay, so now let's subtract out 32 from both sides. Negative 11x equals negative 48. You're combining negative 16 plus negative 32. So now let's divide both sides by negative 11. Okay, this is SSP, a negative divided by negative. They both have the same sign. SSP, same sign, positive, so it's going to be positive. 11 goes into 48 4 times because 11 times 4 is 44. And we take 44 from the top here, you're left with 4 over 11. Because our improper fraction is negative, our mixed number should also be negative. Okay, so the next one, we have decimals. Okay, the next one includes decimals. Okay, nothing really changes. We're following the same steps. We need to get all of our x's on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 0.8x from both sides. Subtract 0.8x from both sides. This is gone from here now. Okay, so you have negative 0.8 plus 0.3x. That's going to be negative 0.5x. Plus 8 equals negative 12. Let's subtract out the 8 from both sides. And this will give us negative 0.5x equals negative 20. Divide both sides by negative 0.5. Negative 0.5. Okay, this is SSB, same sign positive. Both of them are positive. So negative 20 divided by negative 0.5, this is going to be 40. Okay, we're just adding more steps. All right, I think I'm going to move 9 down a little bit because my problems are starting to run into each other, which may look a little confusing, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to drop it down a little bit. Okay, so we just have more steps now. Remember the distributive property? You have a number outside of the parentheses, you distribute that number to every term inside the parentheses by multiplying. So this is going to be 2 times 2x, which is going to give us 4x. Then we'll distribute the 2 to the next number by multiplying. 2 times minus 1 is, we use the same color, minus 2 equals, and we just copy the other side. There's nothing to distribute there. Okay, so now it looks like the other problems we've just finished solving. So let's get all of our x's on the same side. Let's subtract out minus 6x from both sides. And we'll end up with negative 2x minus 2 equals negative 3. Okay, let's add 2 to both sides. We'll have negative 2x equals negative 1. Divide both sides by negative 2. And x equals, this is SSB because you're dividing, they both have the same signs. So SSB, same sign positive. So this will be x equals 1/2. Okay, let's look at the next one. We're going to distribute again. We have the distributive property. So this will give us 6x, 3 times 2x. We'll distribute the 3 to the 1. This will give us plus 3 equals, and copy the other side. We need to get all of our x's on the same side, so we're going to go ahead and subtract 9x from both sides. So 6x plus negative 9x is going to be negative 3x plus 3 equals negative 8. Subtract 3 from both sides. We'll have negative 3x equals negative 11. Divide both sides by negative 3. Okay, that's SSB, same sign positive. 3 goes into 11 3 times because 3 times 3 is 9. When we take 9 from the top, we're still left with 2 over 3. Okay? So 3 2/3. All right, last two. So look at what we have here. You see we have 6x here and 3x here. So we have like terms on one side. So we need to combine those terms. 6x plus 3x is 9x plus 4 equals 7x minus 10. Now we need to get all of our x's on the same side because you see I have 9x on this side and I have 7x on the other side. So let's subtract out 7x from both sides. We will have 9x plus negative 7x, that's 2x. Let me use the same color, black. That's 2x plus 4 equals negative 10. Subtract 4 from both sides. So you'll have 2x equals negative 10 plus negative 4 is negative 14. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals negative 7. Okay, last one, number 12. So do you see that we have 8x and 12x here, minus 12x on the same side here? That is our first step. We need to combine those two. Okay, so we'll copy this side, 4x minus 2, and we'll combine 8x minus 12x. That's going to be minus 4x plus 6, because you're combining 8x plus negative 12x. That's how we get negative 4x. Now let's get all of our x's on the same side by adding 4x to both sides. Okay, so now we have 8x minus 2 equals 6. Let's add 2 to both sides. 8x equals 8. Divide both sides by 8, and x equals 1. Okay, any questions? All right, this concludes this lesson here on solving equations with variables on both sides.